Ernesto Flores Jr. and my report is about Jose Garcia Villa. Jose Garcia Villa, born on August 5, 1908 and died on February 7, 1997. He is a Filipino poet and a short story writer. He used pen name Doug Leon, which derived from dog, eagle, and lion. His language is English and nationality Filipino. His literary movement was modernism and surrealism. He was awarded as the National Artist of the Philippines on 1973. He was known as he introduced the reverse consonant rhyme schemes and was known as a punctuation and used punctuation marks, especially commas, so she was known as a comma poet. As an editor, Villa first published Philippine Short Stories, Best 25 Short Stories of 1928 in 1929. His first collection of stories that he had written were published under the footnote to Youth, Tales of the Philippines and Others in 1933. While in 1939, Villa published Many Voices, followed by Doug Leon in 1941. Later, he released a follow-up for the portable Villa, The Essential Villa. These are the works of Jose Garcia Villa. The Apasionata, Poems in Praise of Love, Parliament Giraffes, The Uncored Angel. Considered as a powerful literary influence in the Philippines throughout much of the 20th century, although he has lived most of his life in the United States. His writing style, as well as personality and staunch opinions on writing, has often made him considered as an eccentric. Francia explained in Asia Week magazine, in word of English language poetry dominated by British and Americans, Villa stood out for the aesthetic brilliance of his poetry for his national origin. Fellow Filipino writer Salvador Lopez described Villa as the one Filipino writer today it would be futile to deride and possible to ignore. The pace setter for an entire generation of young writers. The mentor laying down the law of the whole tribe, the patron saint of the cult of rebellious moderns. However, Villa was accused of having a little faith in Filipinos' ability to write creatively in English, saying that poetry in English has no prospect whatsoever in the Philippines. It cannot be written by Filipino writers. An exception of doom may arise after a long period of time, but these writers will remain exceptions. This is the reason why Filipino writers at a disadvantage in the writing of English poetry is that they have no one sense with English language. Note to Youth, the New York Times wrote, for at least 2 years, the name of Jose Garcia has been familiar to the devotees of the experimental short stories. They knew, too, that he was an extremely useful Filipino who had somehow acquired the ability to write a remarkable English prose and who had come to America as a student in summer of 1913. This brought out this comment brought out two opposing impressions of me as a literary genius and merely as a writer of English as a second language. During America's formative period in literature, American writers admired Bilia's work named Mark Van Doren wrote in a reaction to selected poems and knew as. So, natural yes, in its daring so weird, a poet rich and surprising, and not to be ignored. Babette Jude wrote in the New Republic that have come, I'm here, reveals that Bilia's concern for ultimate things, the self and the universe. He is also in visiting terms with the word. He is more interested in himself than in the universe, and he greets the word with but a decent urbanity. British poet Edith Sitwell revealed in the preface of Bilia's selected poems and knew that she prefaced of Bilia's selected poems and that experienced a shock upon reading Have Come, I'm Here, most notably the poem number 57. As a strange poem in ineffable beauty, springing straight from the depths of being. I hold that this is one of the most wonderful short forms of our time, and reading it, I knew that I was seeing for the first time the work of poet with a great, even an astonishing and perfectly original gift. Meanwhile, noted American poet Gareth Homo described Bilia as one of the greatest pioneers of Asian American literature, our bitter narcissistic angel of both late modernism and early post-colonialism. In its introduction to Footnote to Youth, American writer Edward J. O'Brien, who dedicated his collection Best American Short Stories of 1932 to Bilia, hailed the poet as one of half-dozen American short story writers who count. The American Academy of Arts and Letters in 1943 was bestowed on Academy Award for Literature. Bilia also won first prize in poetry category of UP Golden Jubilee Literary Contest in 1958, as well as Pro Patria Award for Literature in 1961, and the Heritage Award for Poetry and Short Stories of a year later. He was conferred with the honoris causa in FEU for Eastern University. He was one of the three Filipinos, along with the novelist Jose Rizal and Nick Joaquin, included in word poetry and anthology of verse from antiquity to our time in 2000. Language and culture with a span of 40 centuries dating from the development of early writing in Asian Sumer and Egypt. That's all. Thank you.